Well, today we're here to answer a question from someone who sent one in, which is, why does all my effort seem to make things worse in my relationship instead of better? Like, I do all these things. I imagine this is what they're thinking. I'm doing all these things. I'm trying to please my partner. I'm trying to do better, be better, whatever. And it all blows up anyway. So,
Yeah, and I think one of the things there's a few things. It's a great question, and there's a few things to be aware of in relation to this question because, look, it's a popular issue that many people experience, and many are baffled by, right? But we feel like things are not working, so there's something wrong. I've got to try harder. It sort of moves straight into this kind of forcefulness.
yeah.
But it's sort of like people get into doing more of what's causing the issue without knowing they're doing it. And they're just forcing it even more so and wondering, why is this not working? You know, why I'm trying so hard. And they're trying hard. It's draining, you know, and the relationship becomes hard work as a result of it, doesn't it?
It's like nothing that you do can make any difference to sort this out. And I think also everyone experiences that trying harder in a different way. Like if we just talk generalizations, you know, the person who is fulfilling the masculine role in the relationship tends to want to fix everything. And the one that's playing the feminine role in the relationship tends to want to nurture or pander or fawn on the person so that then, you know, it feels like there's love and therefore you should be loved and that sort of thing. So recognizing our own patterns is a really important thing, isn't it, in terms of how we think we're going to fix tension within a relationship.
That's right. And it's often it's not even what we do or what we say that's necessarily the issue. It's what's underlying, where's that coming from? What's driving that behavior or that thing that's being said? And that's usually a telltale sign of where we're coming, where we're orientated. So in other words, if we find that we're in survival mode, essentially we're saying and doing things that are driven by our old patterns.
Yeah, which is sort of feels like problem solving, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's like there's this thing going on. It makes me feel uncomfortable in some way or some level of tension or discomfort or even stress, if you like. And then we go about, well, how can I minimize or eliminate that feeling? And so my quickest way to do that is going to be to go for those strategies that we were talking about before, you know, the fixing or the pandering or the even leaving. You might just leave and go somewhere else because it immediately takes care of that present tension. But we're not really fixing the problem because all we're doing is we're fueling it back up again.
Definitely. Fueling it back up and reinforcing it.
Yeah.
You know, so that the problem with it is that when we do that, we dig the rut deeper. And so it keeps happening over and over again. And so for many people, they find it's like, why is this happening again? You know, I try harder, it keeps happening. Same problem, different day, you know, but we always seem to arrive back at this issue. And for a lot of people, they believe that it's their partner. You know, it's like, oh, he or she is they're to blame here. You know, they're the ones that are causing this issue. And the thing about that is that when we get into that, we give over our own personal power. We become quite powerless because now it's outside of us to do anything about. Now, that dynamic of, that's the other person, that's what's got the power here. I can't do anything about it because, it's all in their hands. And if I can't change them, which we can't, by the way, and it's
we shouldn't.
It's a fool's errand to try to, and we'll explain why not. But if I can't do that, then what can I do? And that's a good question.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And knowing that we're always going to revert back to something unconscious, something that we probably used to do as a kid to please a parent, which sounds ridiculous at this age, but that's exactly what we do because in the past we have had the easing of the tension and we figured that that's the way to go, like achieve something or be smart or just be quiet or just, there's your way. And as we come together as couples, we find there's different ways that gets expressed. And sometimes that sort of works to a degree, and other times it just rubs the other person up the wrong way, and vice versa. They give you a sense of, oh, I wish they wouldn't do that, and that sort of thing. But there is another way you can feel powerless to this whole situation as well, apart from seeing that your partner is flawed and needing to be fixed. It's actually seeing yourself as flawed and needing fixed. So you're actually taking that wrongscious position and going, oh, there must be something wrong with me. And then we end up compensating for those bits of ourselves that we feel aren't good enough or aren't strong enough or aren't whatever enough. And again, it leads exactly to the same place though, doesn't it? We end up being in that state of, well, we're still either fixing them or fixing ourselves, and we're dealing in the realm of the unfixable, because we might feel like we've dealt with it and it passes, but something else will come up in no time at all and show us that it's still there. It still needs to be dealt with in some way, if that's the approach we're going to take.
Yeah.
But we're not really advocates of doing that, are we?
No, we're not. No, and it's really more about what you notice about all of these go-to strategies and these problem-solving approaches and that sort of thing. Whether it's you're the problem, they're the problem, however you want to see it, is that we're not clear on what we'd actually love, what we're unconsciously acting in favour of is what we don't love. We're acting in favour of trying to avoid pain, or trying to be wrong, or making them feel better, or making them change in a certain way, or whatever. But all of that is poor use of our focus, and it results in the same old. So we've got to come back to really getting clear on truth and getting real with ourselves. And as Linda was saying, it really only takes one person to do that. Great if both people are up for it, but it only takes one for really beautiful change to take place, and for that relationship to be able to harmonise again and naturally come back into a state of alignment.
It's fascinating to watch, actually.
Yeah, it is.
When you see a client who their spouse may not be involved in any self-development work at all, actually, and then you watch that person anchor into, how would I love the relationship to be? Now, of course, when we're talking to our clients, we usually say, don't worry about who the person is, which again sounds a little bit weird when they might be married, or they might be in a long-term relationship, or they might have children with that person or whatever. But I think it's important to realize that we're not trying to get people to break up and move on unless that becomes an obvious next step. And really, there are some people in this world who should not be together. They're just not. They for whatever reason, they came together for whatever reason, and it's not serving either of them, and it's not going to be the path of least resistance to try and change that. But if we focus on what is it that we really want to make in terms of a relationship, and if I'm very clear about that, and if that person is going to rise up to meet that vision, they'll be there for sure. They'll absolutely be there. And our job then is holding that vision and seeing that person as someone who does have a heart. It's someone who is a loving, complete, and amazing being, and so are you. And once we start to bring that perspective into the whole equation, there's actually nothing to fix. The only thing that needs to happen is us to continually commit to what that vision is that we're holding for the relationship that we're creating.
Yeah. It's more about the qualities of the relationship. It's less about who that's with, what they're doing or saying or whatever. It's just holding true in yourself the vision of the qualities of the relationship you'd really love, deeply connected, whatever it is for you.
Yeah, adventurous, fun.
Yeah, that's right. Loving, lots of laughter and what, that, but you'll know, because from one person to the next, those qualities differ.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, but being clear in yourself, well, if I could have it any way I'd love it to be, then it's this, this, and this. Feel that in the body, and that's your point of focus that's most powerful and will have the biggest impact in your relationship, or creating one, by the way. But the thing about that is that as a natural side effect of you doing that, it often has profound effect in the other person and in the relationship overall. But notice how your focus is not about, you're not doing any of that to change the other person, to fix them, to whatever. It's all about, no, I know what I love, and that's what I'm standing for, and that's what I'm connected to. Because then when that's the case, you're able to rest easy in that vision, and you're able to see through and beyond that other person's behaviour maybe. Because usually we think that the other person's behaviour is who they are. We can get caught up in that as if that's what's real here. But it's not. It's behaviour. The truth of the matter is the other person, and you included, as Linda's saying, both have a heart, have greatness. You know, you're amazing. And that's the only way to see the other person is because that's the truth. Their behaviour might be otherwise, right? Yeah. But it doesn't matter. See that for what it is. Okay, that's their behaviour, but I'm choosing to see that I know this person beyond that. I know that they're amazing, and that's how I'm going to see them regardless of their behaviour. And now you're with the truth, and that's what's powerful here. That's what shifts everything.
Yeah, and normally if someone's behaving or acting or speaking in ways that are non-preferred, most of the time they're dealing with some level of tension. And whether you initiated the tension or not, it's irrelevant. It's just like we're all doing the best we can with what we've got. And we all experience tension in our lives. And sometimes we deal with it really well. And we're able to remember that we're whole and complete. And, you know, if we're in our center, we feel safe and all the things that our ego is looking for. But sometimes we can't. We have human moments. It doesn't matter how long you've done work, how many therapists you've been to, how many books you've read. You're going to have human moments. So are the people in your world. And sometimes they're going to experience and express in non-preferred ways simply because they're in that human moment. And it's got to be okay so that we can hold ourselves to that. This is just a moment. This is not them. This is not the true version of what they are about. And the person that is fulfilling the vision with me that I'm holding for us both to thrive through.
And that's not about excusing poor behaviour, by the way.
No.
You know, it is what it is. And you'll know whether when you're in your centre and when you're being with the truth, you'll know how you're going to respond to that in a powerful way. You know, that sees you not reacting, not finding yourself lost in the drama of yet another conflict or whatever. It's from your centre. You will know in that moment what the best thing to say or not or do is. And so that's another important benefit.
Yeah.
Of being clear in yourself.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean that you're now, you know, you've taken all these steps and you've made progress and now it's all been blown up. It's just it's just a moment. And if we give ourselves grace for our human moments and our partner grace for their human moments, it's so much easier to just shake it off and move forward, which is really what we want to do. You know, that's where the real progress is made, isn't it? Where we're not putting a scorecard there and saying, oh, well, we've mucked it all up now, we have to start again or whatever. Yeah. It's not like that at all. So yeah, it's a super important thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And you know, our relationships can be really expansive experiences for both of us. And we can grow through these human experiences. You know, we can become stronger. We can come to know more about who we really are and about our strengths and our resilience and theirs as well. When we're not going to just throw the baby out with the bathwater based on some moments of humanness. It can be expansive.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in fact, imagine life without the human moments.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty boring. Like we just sit there in our enlightened state, you know, just chilling out. Yeah, that's it. What are we doing? Like, where do we go from here? So the humanness provides the contrast as well. So and we get insight into the real truth of who we are. Out of every shadow comes a gift. Yeah. And I think when we remember that becomes, again, a powerful way of experiencing life. Now, if you are in isolation completely, you will still have conflict. You'll have it with yourself. And so there's no escaping this. Intimate relationship gives you an amazing way to amplify your shadows and your gifts and the other person as well. And also, as we talk about more extended relationships with family, friends, community, co-workers, whoever else you happen to bump into in your world, there's still mini versions of what you're experiencing within an intimate relationship. So it's a fascinating field to play in and observe yourself, and remember that you can always be in observer mode rather than be in the drama of things. And that's one of the first things that you can start to practice doing, right? So yeah.
Beautiful.
But so coming back to the question, why does it seem to make things worse instead of better when I work hard on my relationship? Because you're probably trying to fix things. And when you try to fix things, you make them worse. I guess like having stain in the carpet, and you get the water and you try and clean up the stain and it just spreads further, and that sort of thing. Anyway, I don't know if that's a very good metaphor, but there it is.
Yeah, but it's good. And it comes back to, well, how clear am I in relation to what I love here? And if you can't answer that question quite readily for yourself, then there's your answer.
Yeah.
And if you're not clear, you will find yourself subject to these outbursts of drama and reactivity that you feel you need to try harder for, and that you notice trying harder does nothing to resolve but makes it worse. So come back to that clarity, start there, and give it a moment, give it some time to work its magic.
Yeah, because you're going to need the practice of coming back to your clarity anyway to start with. But then, over time, it will start to gather traction, both dynamically, energetically, emotionally. It's all going to start to come together over a period of time. So be patient with yourself and your relationship that you're creating. And I think that's a good wrap for today.
Great question.
Amazing. Thanks for the question. See you next time.
Bye.